Hi, everybody. I hope you guys can hear me okay. All right, well, let's get started. It was a little bit difficult to get online today, but here we are. So thank you to everyone that is joining today. This is Selfless Sundays. And so this is where we kind of focus on our own really deep work. And I allow an opportunity once a week for us to get together and to work on those deep-rooted emotions that have been stuck throughout the week. And so my hope is that we can work together. So I want to answer any questions from you guys, and a couple of things that I want to talk about. Hi, Tom. Hi, Helena. Hi, Michael. Hi, Ute. Hi, Robin. Justin. Simon. I guess they changed this interface, so I can't see where people are at the top of my screen. They're at the bottom. So anyhow, so happy to be here, you guys. I had a month, quite a month. Hello, hello, hello. Annie, hi Annie. I had quite a month. I've been traveling a lot. I went to London and it was absolutely beautiful. I was in Los Angeles and then New Mexico, and then I popped over and visited Roswell, as you saw last week, and then Vegas for Misha's meetup group. So it was an incredible month, very busy, meeting a lot of really amazing people. But I wanted to get on today to talk about something really important. And today I want to focus on the whole concept of matrix programming and why we want to deprogram from matrix, okay, from the concept of matrix, so to speak. And so what we want to talk about is basically, what is the matrix? What exactly are we deprogramming when we talk about reprogramming DNA? So in your lifespan, the first 7 years of your life are the most impressive moments in your life. They are the moments where you will learn and absorb, and you are like a sponge. You are absorbing absolutely all of the experiences around you. And when you absorb those experiences, they somehow solidify in the subconscious mind. All of the impressions that you take on from your mother, even in her womb, are making up your belief system, what you believe, what you want to feel, how you should feel in relationship to an interaction. All of those patterns and thoughts and beliefs are being programmed in the mind of a child. And so as a parent, it's really important to become aware of this, because everything that you are saying, doing, feeling, and sensing, your child is feeling and sensing. So it's really important, because a lot of parents I see, it's difficult to be a parent. My gosh, it's very difficult. But it's really important to not forget that as we raise them, they are observing and watching us every single step of the way. So everything that we feel, they are very intuitive. They can pick up on it, sometimes before we are even conscious and aware of how we're feeling. And so that being said, the child is learning from you how you are acting, how you're interacting, how you are feeling. So all of that programming is what the child is learning. And from childhood, it is then transformed into what their belief system is going to be at a later age as they get older. And so later on, they are pulling from all of that information that they have received as a child, and now they are utilizing that information to act throughout the rest of their lives. And that's how each one of us has begun our programming. Now, where does that programming come from? That programming that we are experiencing comes from our parents, ourselves, and our programming. It's really important to question where our programming is coming from. And what you're going to find after you dig really, really deep is that a lot of these belief systems really aren't even our own. Sometimes they are from the church. And I was raised Catholic. My family, was first Catholic, and then explored many different religions from there forward. And I was lucky to be able to have that opportunity. But my first concept of right and wrong came from the concept of sinning, and what is sinful and what is pure. And so when those concepts are deeply, deeply rooted in our subconscious mind, all of the things that we feel, think, and act are going to come from that perspective. And so that right there causes a problem when we are trying to learn to integrate the duality. okay? And so when we are integrating duality, what are we doing? We are merging, we are understanding both those dualities so that we can comprehend how to integrate them. And when we talk about separation, separation is one of the most powerful tools of control that there are here in our matrix reality. Because the concept of separation means that if we are split up in parts, we cannot be whole. And when we are not whole, we lack the complete view, the complete essence of who we truly are. And that happens in anything, right? So in that sense, I want to explain to you what happens to the soul. And when the soul comes into the body, the whole purpose of this matrix reality is to create these fractals of the soul on many different levels, okay? And there's different levels to this, and I'm going to kind of try to explain them to you today. The human mind is compartmentalized in many different parts, okay? We have our emotions, what we're experiencing, and our reactions, and all of those things are pulling from information that we have within the body. Now, if our reality around us is also compartmentalized, it means that our ability to navigate our environment is also going to be one of having to identify those compartments and identifying whether we belong in those or how we relate to them. And so this kind of a process kind of staggers the flow, the fluidity of understanding of who we are in this environment. And so that happens with everything. First, we have the sex, right? We have our sex, the feminine, the masculine, and then there's all kinds of other identities in between. But all of those often are a separation, correct? They are to separate who is male, who is female. And now that we are becoming more conscious of different aspects of our sexuality, well, actually not really, this has been happening since the beginning of time, and that's a topic for another time. I'm very aware of that information, but we're not going to talk about that right now. What I want to talk about is the concept of duality in the term of how our perception is in our reality. Okay, so then we have our family structure, and then we have the mother, the father, and our siblings, and then our extended family, and the roles that they play in our family can change depending on your culture, depending on your religion, and how you were raised. But all of those will put together your concept of family, or of that nucleus. Of that nucleus, and what is the support system that is required for you to thrive in your life, or lack thereof. And so what I'd like to invite you to do is to kind of start looking at everything from the concept of that duality, how in your life there are different manifestations of feminine and masculine energies, because everything in this reality, down to the molecular level, has the concept of that duality within it in order to operate, in order to function. And in a way, it is kind of like the law of this matrix reality. We require that for all creation to be seated in this reality. Now, when we have that program deeply ingrained in our mind that it is this separation, it's very difficult for us to find this solid self, because due to shame, guilt, pain, suffering, and the programs of pain or separation, we are having a hard time integrating those realities within us. So the whole purpose of deprogramming the programs of separation means that we really have to deconstruct all of the structures of belief that we have created within us. And that has to do with everything, okay? Now, what we're dealing with right now, I do not, support any of the political facades or parties that there are out there. I want to be very clear about that, because at the very highest level, there's a very specific agenda running behind all of these things. And a lot of them have to do with this separation, with creating separation. It is the concept of, oh, are you right? Are you left? Are you right? Are you wrong? And these concepts of separation cause in us a tremendous amount of anxiety, because the true soul, the natural state of the human soul, is integrated, it is whole. And so it's almost as if we're being put through a strainer where all aspects of ourselves are being separated in many different parts, different departments. And so what is required for the human to do on a mental level, emotional level, and physical level is to reintegrate those fractals of yourself that are left. Now, the separation and the split of the soul, of the human soul, happens in more than one way. It happens when we have emotional traumas. The soul, when we experience a very traumatic situation, the moment that the soul starts to feel helpless or is in shock or paralyzed due to a heavy emotional hit, the fractal of a soul is left suspended in that timeline. Okay, because everything is timelines, everything's probabilities. And so when it's suspended in a timeline, it is stuck there. And that's how trauma is created. From the metaphysical perspective, from the energetic perspective, an aspect of your energy is left in that time. And so what happens is over time, many fractals of ourself, because we are infinite souls, are left in those memories, in those moments, in those experiences. So the body has to go through a process of reintegration, okay? And this happens on a psychological level as well. When a human experiences trauma, two things can happen. Sometimes the trauma is so big that we're paralyzed and we don't have the fight or flight mode. And other times we are so traumatized that we don't even remember what happened because the brain stops filing what is occurring in that moment. And so that kind of a trauma either causes loss of memory, okay, or it causes the person to want to relive that experience over and over again. And so a lot of us, that's what happens to us. Now, reliving that pain and suffering over and over again happens regardless of whether you remember or you don't remember the experience, because every cell of your body is recording your experiences on a cellular level, and it's holding on to that information within you. Okay, so all the experiences that you've had in your life are being recorded down to the cellular level of your body. Okay, I really want you to understand what that means, because this is why we cannot heal sometimes, because we don't understand this aspect of the body. Okay, whether we're healing from illnesses or we're healing from trauma, emotional problems, or even having a complete understanding of this reality. That as a human, you are like a sponge that is absorbing all of the experiences around you. And when you are not conscious that every emotion that you emit, every thought, every subconscious emotion is creating your reality, from the sense that you are in alignment with what you are attracting around you, okay? And this is the natural function of any organism in this reality. Our cells, in order for the cell inside of an arm to create cells, to create the skin and the parts of an arm that are required, it knows its environment. It is familiar with what is required. And from that perspective, it pulls from its environment to create the proteins, to create this part of your body. Okay, and so in that same way, every aspect of the body is working in this way. It is pulling from its environment to create what it needs to create the proteins to create itself. And so in that same way, we are pulling from our environment. But what happens when our environment is toxic, or when in the environment we are being fed something that is untrue or incomplete, then we take on that reality within us and we make it a part of ourselves. And oftentimes the body has to readjust to that reality. And when the body and the cell is not conscious of itself and what it is, what it needs to create in that environment, it's going to modify, it's going to change, it's going to alter in order to support whatever is being inserted. And in that same way, we have to filter information that we are being fed, whether it's through the television, music, with our friends, colleagues. Our entire environment is building who we are. Okay, and we may not realize that that's occurring. We may think, oh no, I'm very in charge of my reality. But what's happening later on when you are alone and you're experiencing that your entire life is focused on running away from your emotions? It's trying to avoid people at work, trying to hide from the real true issues that you have within you that are dictating your life. And at that point, we then become slaves to our emotions. Okay, so disinformation and deprogramming from the matrix doesn't mean that we are, transforming our lives from living in the city to going to the mountains. It means working right here, right now with what we have and learning how to dissolve this kind of resistance that we have with our environment, okay? Because it's not a matter of being in resistance, it's a matter of understanding and processing the information that we're receiving so that we can then utilize that for our healing, for our understanding of ourselves. Now, the reason why a lot of us are unsure which way to move right now in all of this craziness that's going on in the spiritual community, in all the communities, there's confusion. Why is there so much confusion? When someone is confused, they don't know which direction they're going to be going. And that is the most powerful way to utilize and manipulate anyone or anything, right? When they're confused, when they're lost. So what is required right now more than ever is for us to take that time and go inside and connect with ourselves, because all the information you need is within you. And I don't get tired of repeating that, and I hope you don't get tired of hearing it, because one thing is hearing it and another thing is putting that to actual practice. Okay, when you have that deep connection with yourself, you open aspects of your mind, aspects of the multidimensional body. You unlock aspects of yourself. You are opening frequency information within the body that is aligning you with higher levels of information. And what that means is that you are unlocking the current programming that is within your mind and your body down to the cell, so that you are not in resonance with that, and that's it. Because the average person is in resonance with their environment because they don't question the environment, they don't question themselves, they don't question their emotions, they don't question anything outside of what's being fed to them. And so, of course, they become a product of what is in their immediate environment. And so that is a problem. That is a problem, and that is almost as if we have surrendered to this sick environment or imbalanced environment. And even though we feel sick and we don't feel good and we are not in agreement with what we're doing, we still keep going. We still keep agreeing. We keep consuming. We keep doing everything as part of this program that we're being fed. So that's a problem. That's a problem. Do you not see that that's a problem? Okay, and it has to do with everything: your actions, your choices of what you're consuming, what you're eating, what you're feeling, what you're experiencing in your life. All of your choices are contributing to something. You must understand that all your choices contribute to something. So if we can take a moment and look at the past week, at how we led our life and how we contributed or not to the sickness, okay? This entire matrix universe was created from a manifestation of consciousness that rejected itself. Okay? It was created by a manifestation of consciousness that rejected itself. Anytime that consciousness rejects itself, it becomes a cancer to itself. And so if you start to look at it that way, you're dwelling in pain, in suffering, in hopelessness, in aligning with feeling that there's no way out, or whatever those feelings of helplessness are a cancer to your own organism. So what is the opposite of that? It is embodying your truth. And when you find your truth, you're going to find that truth by going within and questioning, who am I? That's such a cliche to repeat that. But do you know who you are? How did you come to be? Where did your thoughts come from? Where did your programming come from? Where did your emotions come from? Where did you learn to react to a situation the way that you do? Okay, we keep looking outside of ourselves for answers and for the solutions for our life, but it's in those little tiny annoying questions that we are going to understand everything around us, because the human is living inside of this structured reality the way that it is, with all of these things that are causing suffering, struggle, and survival mode, because of the way the human operates and the way that the human functions. When you understand how your human body works, you're going to understand why there is so much promotion for pain, suffering, for the sleepiness of consciousness. You're going to understand. The human body consists of a multidimensional aspect of itself, many different aspects of itself, which are constantly interacting with the different dimensions around you. And those dimensions are being manipulated, altered, and fed with particular information that are then being absorbed by you and shifting your perception, your health, the way that you think, the way that you feel. They are altering you constantly. So if you start to take back your power so that you are no longer feeding into that constant acceptance, silent acceptance of all of this programming, then there is a space for you to transform and heal your body from the inside out. And when I talk about health, health is all encompassing. It's not just being a healthy, beautiful body, looking great, having an active lifestyle. I'm talking about true health from the soul, true understanding of your past, of everything that you have been since the beginning of your time, since birth, conception in this reality, and your actions going forward. Okay, because we tend to believe that in this matrix reality we have to continue in the survival mode of life, and that's not the case. Okay, coming into a high vibrational living and a very clear understanding of a human organism means that we are making choices that are pro-expansion, pro-life, and that when we become healthy and whole, we now hold space for our neighbors to become the highest expression of themselves. But we cannot do that unless we are able to come and become the highest expression of ourselves. So this week, I really want you to focus on questioning, invite you to focus on questioning the aspects of yourself that are feeding into lies and morals and ethics that don't belong to you. Okay, where does your belief system come from? Okay, I really want you to focus on questioning that this week if you can, if you feel inclined to do so, because when we start to question our reality and our belief system from that perspective, and this is not a sick way of looking at things. I don't want you to think that everything that you are is wrong. There are many waves and levels to this understanding of the self, and some of it will bring us to parts of ourselves that we don't want to see, but this is important because when you understand that a lot of your belief system doesn't come from you, and maybe you're not even in agreement with that, then you can start making real changes in your life, hopefully, right? Because the reason why we don't see change in our life and actual productive healing, we keep falling back into patterns, is because we haven't understood. We haven't really got it. We haven't understood that our programming is the basic understanding of all things. And so you hold that programming on a cellular level. So even if you read all the books in the world and you do mantras and go to temples or whatever it is, you go to lectures and pay thousands of dollars, you are not going to change until you do that inner work to understand where your belief system comes from and why it is the way it is. That's the root of transformation or healing, in a sense. Okay. Now, there's so much confusion about what this reality looks like, and I want to tell you that ascension, the concept of ascension, and the reason why I call myself an ascension coach is basically providing an opportunity for you to have these conversations with yourself and to learn techniques that help you access your own healing. Okay, but ascension is a natural aspect of this entire movement of existence. Okay, everything is ascending, everything is moving in this universe, in this megaverse. Everything is moving. So there's nothing that stays stagnant. All we do is we get stuck and we repeat things. Okay, that's what happens. We just come into these repetitive patterns. And it's the repetitive patterns that cause us illness. It's the repetitive patterns that cause stagnation, that cause fear, that cause all of the terrible things that are happening in our reality right now. And a lot of those repetitive patterns are being caused by our structured control system, our structured reality. One, but most importantly, we are the ones that are creating that structured reality and those repetitive patterns within ourselves, because we keep pulling from old information that doesn't serve us anymore. So self-love, in my opinion, and understanding the self is really a testament to the human soul, to the integration of truth. And it is the separation of lies within yourself and externally. But we need to do that work inside of us first, okay? Because unless we start to have that dialogue with ourselves and we are clear about what the body and mind needs to heal, we're not going to get anywhere. We're just going to be going in the same place. So we're going to be doing a little exercise today. And this exercise is going to be focused on healing the body, okay? But I thought it was really important to have this teeny little conversation with you because a lot of people, they think that, you know, whether they follow a political party or they follow some kind of belief system, it's going to save them. It's going to help them come out on top. Even the disclosure movement of listening to all this information, you know, I wish that you would consider and understand that even though a lot of this information is very helpful, a lot of times it is mixed up and convoluted with a lot of distractions. And the way for you to understand that it's a true distraction is the moment that you start pulling away from your own empowerment, start pulling away from the understanding of integration. Anything that is causing separation in your mind, in your emotion, in your internal self, that is a red flag for you to go back in yourself and kind of figure out, how can I reintegrate these two concepts? Where am I in the middle of these two dualities? What is my truth in that duality? And I think that that will help you navigate what's true and what's not true. We have become so separate from ourselves that our intuition is non-functioning. As a matter of fact, when we get a message, we start to panic because we don't know how to deal with that information. We don't know if we should honor it. We don't know if we should go to a psychic and reconfirm it. You know, so we got to learn how to honor the body, how to utilize the body to get the information that we need, because you are the encyclopedia, you are the disclosure, you are the guru that you need in your life. You are everything that you need. It's within you, okay? And that requires sacrifice. It requires sacrifice. And what I mean by that is that you are disconnecting from the matrix, from the concept of escaping, from trying to find yourself in a happy, comfortable place all the time, because our comfort zones are what hinder us and what veil our eyes from seeing what's really happening. Okay, and it's not to say that you're going to be uncomfortable, but in the process of waking up and coming into your true self, it's not going to be comfortable because you are faced with your truths. And if you're not faced with your truths and the darkness of yourself, then you're not getting anywhere. If it's just a lovely, happy ride, you're hiding the real aspects of yourself that require healing. And all of us have a lifetime of stories and experiences that we need to look at and review and work with. Okay, so every moment is an opportunity for you to access that information. So let's get right into it. I want you all to get really nice and comfortable. You're going to inhale deeply and exhale. Okay. I'm going to answer all your questions at the end of our session, okay? It's not that I'm ignoring you. Please hang in there. All questions will be answered at the end. We're going to ground ourselves down to the center of the earth, visualizing the core of the planet. I want you to send your cord all the way down, connecting down to the core of the planet. You're going to surround yourself in a golden sphere of light, or in whatever your protection is. Go ahead and visualize that protection around your body. Sure. Okay. Being very conscious. Everything that is in your space is yours. Everything that is outside of your space, it doesn't belong to you. And I want you to be practicing this throughout your day. Okay, no matter what you're doing, who you're with, you're going to be conscious that everything that is here, your body, your mind, your emotions, this belongs to you. What's happening outside can come to the outside of your sphere and slide off. It cannot affect or move your inner balance, your inner self. Be conscious of that. Be aware that you have a choice of how you are going to be reacting to the world around you. Okay, so maintain your energetic sphere all around your body, making sure that there are no openings. Some of you have an opening here in the lower back by the tailbone. I want you to go ahead and focus on closing that. Some of you have opening on the right side of your body. Make sure you are closing that. When your sphere is completely closed, you're going to feel the air almost as if it's closer to your body. Okay, this is how you know that you have enclosed yourself completely. And when you practice this, you start to, it's easier to do it over time, but be aware of your energetic space. You're going to inhale deeply and exhale. Okay, you're going to start with the root chakra. I want you to visualize closing that chakra all the way down to the size of a dime, disconnecting any imbalance of the root chakra. You're going to go up to the second chakra, the orange light underneath your navel. You're going to close that chakra all the way down to the size of a dime, disconnecting any imbalance in the sacral chakra. Inhaling deeply and exhaling. You're going to go up to the solar plexus, the yellow light in the center of your body. You're going to close that chakra all the way down to the size of a dime, disconnecting any imbalance in the solar plexus, in the emotional body. Inhale deeply and exhale. You're going to go up to the heart chakra. I want you to open your chakra as wide as possible, front and back, opening the center of connection. This is the first aspect of the higher self. So go ahead and open that space. You're going to go up to the throat chakra. You're going to open that chakra as wide as possible, front and back, opening the center of communication. You're going to go up to your indigo chakra. You're going to open that chakra as wide as possible, opening your center of intuition. When we daily open and train our body to open and close our centers, to manage our energy centers of information, we train our body with our perception, with how we're going to relate to the world around us. So now that you are in reading state, I want you to inhale deeply and exhale. And I want you to visualize a color that represents your highest expression. What color is that? Go ahead and see it now. It can be any color. Some of you that have worked with me, you already know your color. You're going to go ahead and put that up in your crown chakra. And your crown chakra is your center for manifestation. We utilize the crown to allow us to destroy our karmic contracts. And I've explained this in other videos. If you have questions about it, you're please more than welcome to check out other videos about that as well. And I will go more in depth into that in the future as well. So we're going to go up to our crown, and what we're going to do is we're going to set the intention for this week. So we're going to start with our career. I want you to visualize a wheel. And this wheel has different sections, like a pie chart. Each one of those triangles is going to represent a certain aspect of yourself, of your life, which is very important. And what we're going to do is we're going to utilize our highest expression to align ourselves with each aspect of that reality. So we're going to start with career. Go ahead and fill that in. As we set the intention that everything that has to do with our work, with our labor, with our creativity and what we have to offer the world is managed from the highest vibration possible. No less. So go ahead and fill that in as we set that intention. The next is going to be relationships. Go ahead and fill that in as we set the intention that all our relationships are managed from the highest vibration possible. Go ahead and fill that in. The next is going to be family. Go ahead and fill that in as we set the intention that our family is managed from the highest vibration possible, all our interactions with our family. Our children, neutralizing any heaviness which is there in that space. The next is going to be your health. Very important. Fill that space in. And in this moment, I want you to inhale deeply and exhale, visualizing that every cell in your body is coming back into perfect balance right here, right now. You are no longer in alignment to illness, to pain, to suffering. You bring yourself back into a balanced neutrality. And finally, your life purpose. Go ahead and fill that in as you set the intention that you are in alignment with your purpose here on this planet, whatever that means, whatever it means that you need to be doing right here, whether it's just being and existing or creating, speaking, whatever it is, painting, you are doing what you came here to do with the highest expression of yourself. Everything in divine order works in connection to heal one another. So when you are in divine order doing exactly what your organism is called to do, everything around you comes back into place. You help not only yourself, but your entire ancestral lineage. So now that you are consciously creating, I want you to visualize a room. Okay? A room, it can be any room. This room is going to be called your karmic contract room. And in this room, I want you to visualize tons of contracts, and they can look like anything. They can be papers, folders, books, whatever contracts looks like to you in your mind, in your imagination. I want you to visualize this room filled with those contracts. And these contracts are going to represent all of the agreements that you have made coming into this cyclical life, into this reincarnation, okay, with your connections to your family, your friends, so on and so forth. I just want you to observe them there in that room. I want you to shine your crown light with your color on top of all of those contracts in that room. And I want you to destroy those contracts. All of those contracts represent all of the programming that makes up who you are, all the stagnant programs that we keep repeating that come from lower frequency, lower vibration, fear-based programs, pain, suffering, trauma that is brought down through your lineage. Okay, that's what all of these contracts represent, and we no longer wish to live with the influence of these contracts in our life. So go ahead and destroy those contracts completely. I want you to empty that room entirely. Very good. You are now going to fill that room with your creative color as you set the intention that any kind of lesson or any difficulty that you're going to encounter today and the rest of your week is coming from the highest expression possible. We are not victims. We are not a result of our environment. Instead, we create our environment. And this is how we utilize our technology of the body to set the intention and energetically magnify this organism to create and relate with the experience and the world and the environment around us. So as you set that intention and you open your space, go ahead and clear that space completely. Very good, my loves. I want you to inhale deeply and exhale. Okay. Very good. You're going to open your root chakra back into a balanced state. I want you to spin that chakra as fast as possible. Visualize white source light coming down to clean out any kind of blockages within that space, cleaning out any old programs, blockages, any stagnant energy that we picked up from anyone else, sometimes partners, friends, acquaintances who are absorbing things that do not belong to us. Go ahead and clear out that root chakra until it's crystalline red at the base of your spine. You're going to go up to the second chakra, the sacral chakra, the orange light right below your navel. You're going to spin that chakra as fast as possible. You're going to open it back up. And as you do, you're going to visualize cleaning out all of those heaviness that is within that space, all of those blockages that hinder our expansion, our creation. This is our sexual energy, one of the most important aspects of ourselves, our balance. Plexus, the yellow light in the center of your body, go ahead and spin that as fast as possible. Visualize white light cleansing out any blockages that hinder the emotional body, any false concepts of your emotions, false utilization of your emotions. Sometimes we utilize our emotions in ways that don't serve us, and yet we continue doing it because the body needs something, the organism needs something. So helping us find what it is that our soul needs in relationship with our reality so that we don't have to be playing through toxic patterns that don't serve us anymore. Any kind of anger that we have within the body, that we process it, that we become aware of it, that we acknowledge it, we honor it so that we can heal the body. Go ahead and visualize that yellow chakra perfectly crystalline clear. You're going to go up to the heart center. I want you to close that chakra back into balanced state. And as you do, you're going to spin it as fast as possible, clearing out any blockages that hinder your connection, your ability to love yourself, to understand your worth, regardless of what has happened in your life, regardless of your past, of the pain, of the stories of who you are. Understanding that you can take what you need from that and let everything else go. Okay? Going up to your throat chakra, go ahead and close that chakra back into balanced state, spinning it as fast as possible, bringing white source light. Cleaning out any programs that do not allow you to speak your truth with balance. Balance means the balance of the divine feminine and the divine masculine. Do we live with this balance in our perception? Okay, what does it mean to have feminine and masculine balance in our life, in the way we talk, the way we move, the way we express, okay, the way we love? So maybe taking some time to do that inquiry so we understand where we stand in that. We're going to go up to the third eye, going to visualize spinning it as fast as possible, bringing white source light to clean out any blockages that hinder our intuition and our trust in our intuition. This is the tool. These are the tools that help the human body transcend, to heal, to become aware and awake of all the illusions and lies and deception that is around us. So utilizing that technology actively, consciously, every day, every moment of our experience to get what we truly need to heal. So go ahead and remove all of those blockages out. You're going to go up to your crown and you're going to realign yourself. You're going to send that color up into the 10th chakra, the 9th chakra, and the 11th chakra. Go ahead and turn it on. I want you to inhale deeply. You are grounded down to the center of the earth. You are protected in your energetic space, owning your space. You are aligned. Your chakra system is perfectly aligned, connecting to source, connecting to yourself, to your higher self, which is the most important. Okay? So I want to thank you so much for joining me for this quick realignment, my loves, and listening to what I have to say. I'm going to answer quick. Hit the road. Anushi, trauma can be healed automatically by just being mindful every time. So what happens in trauma, as I mentioned before, is that we create repetitive patterns based on the learned traumatic situation. So what needs to happen is that we need to identify our triggers. When we identify our triggers, then when we notice them in an interaction, whether it's a hello or a feeling insecure or going to a new place and feeling out of place, all of those patterns of our behaviors and how they relate to our environment help us understand what of those are our triggers. And it's within the triggers that we need to focus on. And what you're going to find at the very root of those triggers is that there's always one thing that the person is missing. Sometimes that's a very deep need for love, affection, acknowledgement. Sometimes it's a need for connection, for communication. So many different things, and each one of us has a different way of interacting with those realities. But we need to identify what they are so that we can understand what our triggers are. Okay, so becoming aware of triggers is really the important thing. And when we are aware of those triggers throughout our day, being mindful every moment, then we can catch them. And so we don't have to become slaves to our triggers, which means that as soon as it hits us a certain way, we react in a certain way. We yell at someone, or we, want to say something awful. And so we just become puppets to our experience instead of creating, being mindful, owning our space. We are being owned by the external experience. Okay? So that's what we want to do. And yes, it's important to be mindful for that reason. What if you can't visualize, imagine anything? Okay. So a couple things. When you run energy in the body, and this is a technique that I help train and facilitate people, the blockages within the body that don't allow you to see, okay? But also, each and every one of us have different ways of seeing information. So sometimes we can sense things, sometimes we can feel things, sometimes we know things, sometimes we see color, sometimes we get a chill or a feeling or a sensation, sometimes we just get a memory or an image in our mind or a thought, okay? So I want you to experiment with all of these things and see what is your unique way of seeing things. You're not going to be seeing them, not everyone is going to see it like clear as this, glass or this little tiny thing here. We're going to see an image. But the thing is to train the body to trust what it's seeing, what it's feeling, what it's knowing. That is the thing that we need to train. That's the training of the body, of the technology of the body. And that's what all of these structures of reality are hindering us from doing. So disconnecting from media, from television, from radio, from all of the stimulation of our emotions and our numbing down of our clarity of our mind and thoughts will help heighten your ability to see, feel, and interact with other dimensions, okay? What is the best way to recall an experience that have been buried and out of sight, memory that need to be identified and healed? Regression. Regression is definitely the tool that I utilize in my sessions, and it's through regression that we identify that. Now, also, I'd like to invite you to utilize your emotions to access that memory, meaning that you identify your emotion, Tammy, and I think you and I have had a session before, so you're familiar with this technique of where we feel the emotion and we recognize when in our lives we've felt it. What you're going to find is that we are, again, cycling through these patterns of emotions and pain and trauma. And a lot of times, if we can heal one memory of those, we can have access to others. So it's important to try to navigate those using regression if possible. Hello, I need to mend my relationship with my mind and heart. Serena, my darling, that's wonderful that you acknowledge that. Oh, it's wonderful that you acknowledge that, my darling. And all of us have a lot of work to do in that department, as you know. But little by little, the most important thing is that you understand who you are. So take the time to look at all of the ugly things that you hate about yourself and all of the things that you love about yourself, and accept them on the deepest level possible. And when you do, you can start integrating who you truly are to become whole, and then you can start dealing with how you are dealing with other people. Okay, so yourself is the most important. All right, my love, so I have to head out. I wish I had more time to spend with you, but I am running very late and I have to go meet up about a very important how can I overcome deliberate external interference such as organized targeting where I'm supposed to be psychic vampire and narcissists? Okay, that's a great question, John. And again, it goes with owning your space and maintaining your energetic boundaries. There are a couple tools that I can help provide you with to help you work on a higher level, on a contractual, energetic, informational level, which is what I work with. So maybe I'll do a video on that because I love to know that. Thank you so much for your question, and I love you all so much, and I will see you soon, okay?